All right, let's get into some football, Tony. The Jags will be in training camp next week. Louis Riddick Jr., man, he went all in on the Jags. He loves them as a legitimate Super Bowl, I don't want to say favorite, but definitely a Super Bowl contender. He said two things. E.T., I want to play two comments for Tony. He said two things. Look, he's saying all the other things that we all say. Loves Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, this, that, all the generic things. But he said two things that he went a lot more overboard than others who are even being complimentary of the Jags this time of year. So, first, give me Louis Riddick Jr. yesterday on the Jaguars' defense.
And defensively, they've got athletes galore everywhere. It's really going to come down to, look, Mike has got – this is where I think it's going to all come together.
Yep.
See, Mike's a young up-and-coming defensive coordinator. He's got a bunch of guys on the defensive side of the football that are just fantastic freaking athletes who are young and are still trying to figure out how to play together and make plays in the biggest of moments.
That's not a narrative that's real popular right now, Tony, and I think that while we all can buy into a big improvement or a continued improvement, maybe I should say, from the offense, people aren't as, they're not as in agreement that the defense, they're more nervous about the defense. But he makes some points there that we don't, if we look at it glass half full, are fair points to make. I mean, young guys are going to improve a system for year two with the same coordinator. That's going to have some advantages. Caldwell is known. He's respected as an up-and-coming play caller. Could we see the defense make the kind of jump we saw the offense make last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, Jeff. I think where I do agree with Lewis is, if you look at this offense and the defense, I think, Devin Lloyd did not have a good rookie year. And he would tell you that. And it was a transition. It was a struggle, especially in coverages. He has a year under his belt, and the dude is a freakish athlete. I mean, he is a freak athlete and loves football. And so you say, okay, and talking to him and seeing him in this offseason, I mean, I could see him making a huge step in becoming the first rounder that we saw what he did at Utah, where he was the dominant defensive player. So, okay, let's say that happens. You got Devin Lloyd, inside backer, comes on and okay, we're upgraded there because Luakon, very solid tackling machine, leader, great. So now all of a sudden you're like, okay, we got two really good backers. Then you go up to the front four, and Trayvon Walker's, and Louis Riddick would tell you, freakish athlete. Now the question is what's the right position for him? I'm still not convinced the best position for Trayvon Walker is a stand-up outside backer. But he's the disruptor. He was even, if you really go back and watch the film he was disruptive last year. He just wasn't a pass rusher.
That kind of sums up the line, by the way, because that crazy stat that doesn't compute. They were second in all of the NFL in quarterback pressures, yet they were very low with just the 35 sacks.
And okay, so if you're going to be a good football player in the NFL, usually from year one to year two, you have a big step. And I think that would not shock me. And if I was a betting man, I would bet that Trayvon Walker takes a huge step and is a disruptive player. And it's a better pass rusher. I don't know if he'll be a 15 sack guy, but double digit, I think so.
How much?
You go to Josh.
Go ahead.
Then you go to Josh Allen, and he's in a contract year. This is a huge year for him. And I know, and I love Josh Allen. Great guy. And he had he went away, and he got criticized for not being OTAs. And I actually respect what he did. He said he went to Arizona by himself and said, I'm going to train my off, and I'm going to get going. Because this is he was unhappy with his production last year.
It's a great attitude to have, and that is, you're right. That's a wild card because he's another guy. He was very high in pressures. If you got some of these are almost the luck doesn't fall your way. There's a little bit of a sidestep here or a spin out there. He could. Josh Allen, I will say this, does have the talent, I think.
Oh, he could be
to go a 12, 13, 14 sack guy. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay,
he makes now all of a sudden. Just those three guys.
Yeah.
Which is not beyond the realm of going, oh gosh, you're stretching.
Yeah.
Those three guys, you are a different defense.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
And then you got Cisco, who really came on in the back half of the year. Young player.
Jenkins had his best year. Tyson Campbell's a good, solid player. Williams is a solid corner.
I only worry about. Let me tell you why I worry about this defense.
Okay.
Is that the lack of depth
at the corner? Yeah, that's fair. You're still trotting Trey Herndon out as your, slot corner. It looks like.
That is the one area I'm like, ugh.
Should the Jags make a move there, Tony? Like Marcus Peters is out there. I mean, there's a couple of guys that have some experience. Or are you just so wary or so aware, maybe better word, of your culture and your chemistry that you feel good enough?
Well, I mean, listen, if you have a strong culture, then you can bring in a guy that's
fair.
Because the locker room will take care of it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just go look at the teams we had. We had some characters.
Yes, you did. I remember them well.
And it was fine.
But there were also examples where you cleared out some characters and things got better. That also happened.
Guess what? If you weren't going to fit, then you were going to be gone.
Yeah, gave it a ride. And your point being, you bring him in, and then ultimately it almost served as we're talking about Andre Rison, who had some issues. They brought him in. He wasn't playing terrible here, but behind the scenes things weren't as what was the deal? That guy just run wherever he wanted to, kind of deal when it came to running pass routes. Yeah,
he had his own playbook.
Yeah, he had his own playbook, and
but guess what?
Yeah, and then you got better. You got a second boost.
But Andre was. But guess what? He wasn't an issue in the locker room.
No,
he was loved.
Yeah.
But he was an eccentric. He's a different dude. We had a bunch of different dudes that were there the whole time.
Yeah, that's fair. And look, you're making up a 53-man locker room. You're going to get all shapes and sizes, all sorts.
That's my point.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But the point is, if you don't have a good culture, a good locker room,
then it'll tear it apart.
Those tear it apart.
See 2018. 2018 is the best example of that, maybe in NFL history, certainly in our history here in Jacksonville. Bad culture, immature players, selfishness tore that team apart before it ever got rolling.
Sure. Absolutely.
Just a simple question, yes or no. Do you think the Jaguars will have more or less than the 35 sacks they had last year?
More.
Yeah. Like significantly more?
I'll say this. I think the total for Trayvon and Josh Allen will be 25.
Oh, talk dirty to me, big boy. Oh. I think we know what the Boselli drop in from this week's Breakfast with Boselli is going to be.
Sheesh.
Ooh, I like that one. See,
I
don't disagree. Hey, that's not crazy. That's not a crazy.
I think anything. I think 23 to 25.
Okay, good. Then I'm going to.
I think 23 to 25 from those two guys. I think they're. I think both are going to have good years. Really good years.
Okay.
Look at the history. Just look at the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
And I'll just go back. Forget about the history of the NFL.
Okay.
Go back to last year.
All right. I will. Okay, hold on. All right, now back to last year.
Hold on. Jawan Taylor. Was anyone really high? Most people had him as a backup.
Bro, he competed with Walker Little just to have the job. And it wasn't even his job when we went to camp. He won it there.
His contract year, he worked his tail off in the offseason, came in, and ended up probably the most consistent, best offensive lineman they had.
Well, that's what you tell me, and I trust you.
And I'm just telling you, contract years, when a guy has the talent, and especially when they have the mentality that Josh Allen has, where he's not happy how he played last year, where he thinks it's not the coaches, it's not the media, it's not everyone else, it's him. That he thinks that was not his standard of play. It wasn't good enough. When a guy who has talent has that attitude and puts the work in the offseason, and then you add the contract year, and by the way, guess where he wants to be his whole career?
Yeah, and gosh,
he wants to be here.
No, I like him. I love the dude as a dude and as a player, and he's a good player. It's not like he's some bust.
Yes.
It's not like he gets 3 sacks a year. He's accumulated some sacks here over the course of his 4 years. A breakout year from him sure would go a long way. Tony, is Travis Etienne underappreciated? I don't want to say underrated but is he a little bit under noticed for what he did last year, or is he right where he should be from a perception standpoint?
I he's appreciated here locally for sure.
Okay.
And I think he's appreciated in that locker room. I know guys speak very highly of him. I think he's a dang good back. My only criticism of Travis Etienne, I worry about how many big hits he takes.
He's not afraid to put the pads down, is he?
No, and he's not a big guy, and I'm like, kind of like turn the shoulders, like get a glancing. Like if you ever I'll just go back to Fred Taylor. Like, tell me how many square shots guys got on Fred Taylor. Not many. I mean, Fred was a master, and the great backs are masters of like not taking huge blows, and I just worry. Etienne is a little bit upright. He's not a big man, and he takes some shots. But I just worry about that for longevity. Now, he's a tough dude and runs hard, and he runs more powerful than his size. So no, I don't think Travis Etienne's underappreciated at all. Now, if you think about it nationally, I think people recognize what he did, but you got to win, and this team wins. If you're in a small market, the only recognition you're going to get is if you're winning.
100%. Unless you just have like some incredible individual player.
Right.
It's hard. If you have that guy, you usually are doing some winning, by the way.
That's right. And so, no, I don't think he's underappreciated. I think he's very, he's an integral part of
I bring it up. I saw this column, this kind of analytic column, but Next Gen Stats, they track, speed and, how fast you get to all that stuff. He was the third most explosive runner in the NFL last year, behind only Kenneth Walker of Seattle and Justin Fields, a quarterback. And when it comes to explosive runs, the amount of times he reached 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, he had like 16 runs that went at least 10 yards more than the expected total when the way the play.
Here's my problem with those stats, Jeff. And you're the baseball expert, not me. I guess I'm a simpleton. I go back to the days of like baseball, like what's your batting average and RBIs.
Sure.
Now you got all this like WAR and blah 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 blah. And I think football, because with the birth of analytics, and I'm not saying they're not important, and I'm not saying that, but I think sometimes you can compile a number of stats and create stats and analytics and tell a lot of different stories. I guess is my point.
Right, and Tony Khan famously did that with the Blaine Gabbert. Remember when he has X amount of time, he's the second best in the league. Yeah, right. Remember that one?
Right. Yeah, and listen, I love analytics. I think they're critical. They tell part of the story, and they help you build a team, help you with strategy, help how to attack offenses and defenses. So I'm not poo-pooing analytics at all. I just think also, I'll ask you this, Jeff. If you were going to list the top 5 running backs of last year, would Travis Etienne be in that top 5?
He'd be probably just outside of it. Yeah, outside of it. But he did have 1,100 yards. There's been only 14,000-yard seasons in Jaguars history, and the first year he saddles up for a season, he gets one of them.
He's very good.
Yeah,
he's very good. But
no, I hear you. Those are all fair. I think analytics deal more with should fuel more your expectation than it should your value. And here's what I mean. But I'll use a baseball example because the baseball analytics have been around longer. They're easy to interpret for me than some of the football ones even. I don't know what a run over expected value is. What does that even mean? Are you telling me the blockers blocked bad? Or are you telling me he ran the wrong? There's so many different nuances. But there's stats now in baseball that are so prevalent, like your barrel rate. In other words, how often are you squaring up your bat on the ball, right? So it maybe not tell you the value of a player. He could barrel it more than other players, but he's getting bad luck and hitting it to people. So his batting average may be low, but you can expect him to hit better. To me, that's more efficient use of analytics and maybe necessarily applying it, applying a value to it. But I brought up Etienne because of this. This was the second surprising thing that I thought Louis Riddick said, okay? He said this about the Jaguars running game, which includes Travis Etienne and apparently Barry Sanders. Take a listen.
But the running back, Travis Etienne, is a stud. Tank Bigsby from Auburn, the running back they got in the third, I thought Tank was one of the best running backs in the draft. In the third round, he's going to be another one of those guys where we look back and go, how the hell did Tank Bigsby last till the third round? He's going to be that kind of guy.
Well, with everything that Riddick has said in this conversation, just a couple I play, you can see why he's picking them as a serious Super Bowl contender. He's hitting every glass half full question that we have, right? Oh, the defense is going to be full of young players and great. Oh, take Bigsby. They're going to be like, oh, man, that guy should have went in the top 10. So if all the things he believes and are saying are coming true, then yeah, it is going to be a very fun football season, no?
Well, I mean, everything I've heard coming out of, OTAs and down at the stadium is that Bigsby has the potential to be special as far as an explosive, great complimentary back to Etienne. So, listen, I just don't know. I didn't watch enough Auburn tape or of him in college. But isn't it about time for us to get one of those mid-round running backs?
Past
really
time.
Pops?
Past time.
Isn't it time for us to do that? Everyone else seems to get those guys.
Yeah.
So,
I feel that way. I mean, I've kind of been, whispering around about that since, the rookies were reporting. Bixby was a good back in college. He's a fast, strong guy, dude, Tony. He's a better receiver than Etienne. So the point is, I'm not saying regardless of how we look back and how did he go in round 3, imagine, though, the Jaguars' offense if the guy who replaces Etienne is as good as Etienne. Because that certainly was not the case last year. It was a big downgrade when Travis Etienne had to leave the football field. So imagine the flexibility and the freedom and the talent if you're going to replace him with a guy who, I mean, if you listen to Lou Riddick, that wouldn't be much of a difference.
Well, I'll tell you the other thing to watch. I think this is going to even make this offense more explosive this year is Jamal Agnew. If he can stay healthy. Because he is one of the fastest guys in the NFL. I mean, that guy can flat roll. And new offense last year, don't discount year 2, Doug Peterson having a better feel of the roster, what he can do with the guys, where they're comfortable, the players having a better grasp of what Doug wants to do. Doug's going to expand the playbook and how he thinks about it and the creativity. And we already saw what he's able to do. I mean, he is a master play designer and a master play caller. And I just get a sense that a guy like Jamal Agnew is going to be even more prominent in this offense. No, I'm not like every down guy, but is that come out in the line up in the backfield, come out a slot receiver, jet sweeps, pitches, use him in the passing game, because he has a different gear than other guys. And I'll just compare this offense to an offense, kind of Doug Peterson's, mentor in Andy Reid. What makes Kansas City so good is obviously Mahomes and Kelsey. Those guys are all-time greats at their position. But think about what they do with all those different type of players and where they line them up and kind of the different looks they give you and how they use speed to stretch the field and create space. And you mentioned Bigsby, obviously Calvin Ridley. I heard Lewis's comments on him before I came on. I think that's going to go down based on how things are trending. What a great trade by Trent Baalke. Got to give him a ton of credit for taking that risk. But now you got speed, with Etienne, Bigsby. You got a guy like Agnew coming off and can line up anywhere on the field. And then are we forgetting that Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram all had amazing years?
Career years, all three of them.
And so all of a sudden you're going, I'll say this could be the best offense. This could be the most explosive offense the Jaguars have ever put on the field.
Thank you.
And I'm going back to when we had Jimmy, Keenan, and Fred.
Yeah. No, fair. No, I got him top 3, Tony. I think that's good. I think it's going to – I've gone from they can be to no, forget can. The season's starting. We're going to be a top 3 offense. I'm going to go ahead and say that. That's completely possible.
And that completely. Now, the offensive line has to play well.
For sure. That's the unknown. That's a little bit of the – but all those other dudes, other than Bigsby, are proven, man. These are proven producers in the NFL.
And the offensive line, don't discount how important it is to have a great offensive line coach.
Yeah.
Because as much as any position in the game of football where a coach can make a difference, a huge difference, is on the offensive line.
And you got some young guys there, too, Tony. Fortner and Walker Little. They're going to get better, too, you would suppose.
Yes. Absolutely, I expect them to get better.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a fun year, man. Gosh,
I think it's going to be a fun year. Now, Jeff, the one thing we say it every year at this time is one thing you got to fight against is the dang injury bug.
That's true.
I mean, every NFL team's in the same position right now. They're just saying, listen, this is a physical, violent game, and we got to make sure our guys. I hate to say it, across the league, there's gonna be injuries. That's just part of the game, and you just hope that you keep your guys healthy and you minimize those injuries, and especially as you go down the stretch in November and December, your guys are healthy and playing at their best, because those are the teams that win Super Bowl. You kind of set the table in September and October, but you want to be healthy and playing your best football November, December going into the tournament.
All right. Well, a lot of excitement is, next week when we talk to you, it'll be camp week. I mean, they'll be reporting at the end of next week, and we've got a preseason opener. It's like a month from tomorrow, I think. I mean, it's here upon us, and once we get going there, we're less than 9 weeks to season opening Sunday. I mean, it is a down the stretch we come.